Okay. Really hoping that this works this time. Okay. Let's just get into it. Just jump straight the hell in. Hello, everyone. I am, technically speaking, I am D. Mephisto. You may call me Mephisto.
You've seen it. Maybe in a dream.
You know what? Never mind. I'll just explain all this on the fly. Okay. Basically, we are an undead. If you play Dark Souls 1, you are essentially a normal human being who got a special brand that a lot of people nowadays theorize came from where the fire is fading. So, as far as we can really theorize, if we go from the same theory, then more than likely the first fire, or basically just the fire, is once again fading, and it is quintessentially our job to relight it, or to not, depending on which one you followed in Dark Souls 1. Okay, so here we have me. I am one beautiful little SOB. Hold on, let me take my hood off here. Yeah, see, look at me. This is the mark of, this is what you look like as an undead. Symptoms include apparently green skin, a loss of pupils and hair, and half of your health bar gone. That's that little red bar that you see above the green one. It doesn't always equate to half. When you get further on into the game, it will actually, like when you have more health, it doesn't equate to half. Usually, I believe it caps itself at like 60%, maybe 75%. Someone in the comments can go ahead and tell me, go ahead and lay me straight, tell me which one's right and which one's wrong, which more than likely is definitely not, which is definitely more than likely neither of them, but yeah. Underneath of that red health bar is my green stamina bar, and that will deplete whenever I roll to dodge attacks, or just to move around faster. Whenever I punch, or attack essentially, or whenever I block, which is, if I had a shield, then that left punch that you see there, that would be actually me holding up a shield if I had one, or attacking with a secondary weapon if I had one, which I don't have either, so that's essentially moot. This is going to be my first Let's Play. This is actually my my second recording of this Let's Play. I'm really hoping that my voice is coming through a little bit more clearly. Last time when I tried this, my voice was barely coming through at all, and I think it's because I had my microphone really far away, and I did not talk that loud. We'll find out when this is over if I am talking well enough for my mic to be able to actually pick me up on the thing. This is the things betwixt. When you jump off, at the very beginning you just jump off into oblivion. You go to this lady keeps saying Drangleic, but it's not Drangleic, because Drangleic is the kingdom that we're going to be coming up to past the crack in the giant ceiling back there. Essentially, as an undead, and I'm going to skip this again. I'm going to skip through all this, so I'm sorry if you want to see it. It's just, it takes up a lot of time, and I can only fit 15 minutes into this.
At least you know your own name.
Yes, I know my own name, thank you. Okay, my class, I'm going to start off as a swordsman this time. Usually I'm a knight. I've been the warrior once, and I've been the traveler once. I didn't like either of them. The only thing that the class really affects is going to be your starting stats. You can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner of this little screen. 12, that's my actual soul level. Then after that, there's that little arm, and that's the little head symbol on the top left of those. The little arm flexing is my strength. 4, I believe, is adaptability, or the heart is adaptability. The 2 legs are endurance. I honestly can't remember what all these are, I'm afraid. We'll see them later on in either this video or another video. If I can get to it in this one, that'd be great. That was my class. These are your gifts. You can either start off with nothing. They all have little effects of their own. You can start with nothing. You can do the life ring, which increases your overall health slightly. The human effigy, which allows you to, when you're in hollow state, like you saw me a minute ago, the human effigy will allow you to restore your humanity so that you'll no longer be an undead and will not be subject to that whole the whole like decreased health bar. The healing wares that you see are just things that would enable me to heal myself more. Like you see, for most of these classes, I start off with only one of those little rocks right there. This would give me one more packet of those, and a packet of the larger one, a packet of the more potent ones, and then a packet of the really, really restoring ones. And then also a thing to get rid of poison. If you played the first Dark Souls, you'll notice that I don't start off with an Estus flask. Don't worry, that did come back. I will be getting it later. But you don't start off with it in this one. Homeward Bone allows you to go back to the first bonfire that you used, and we'll be seeing a little bit more on bonfires in a minute. Seed of a Tree of Giants, that will enable you to, if you get invaded on the multiplayer platform, which because I'm on PlayStation 4, I don't really have a choice in that it will enable, by burning it, you are able to make enemies attack an invader. Like normal enemies will attack an invader where otherwise they wouldn't. The bonfire aesthetic is something that you can burn in a bonfire to make the enemies in the area give more souls. Then you have the petrified something, which I still don't remember the use for it, but I know it has a use. I myself always go for the Seed of a Tree of Giants just because I don't tend to really use many of the other gifts. And I don't feel like really messing with the character creation.
All people come here.
Everybody that comes to Drangleic or to the kingdom in general passes through here, and everybody that does so comes here just to break the curse of the undead, which I was suffering from and still am suffering from. Come up here and you open up this treasure chest right here, and there is, I believe, a human effigy inside of it. Yep, there's a human effigy in here. These three people are firekeepers, so they were people that once guarded and tended to the bonfires. Again, more on the bonfires in just a second. We're gonna go kill somebody so I can get a special ring from him. In Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, you really have to explore. Like, see this right here is a little cave you can go through, kind of hidden off by the weeds and such when you're looking from that way. Up here is a big, mean, nasty ogre. Or maybe a cyclops. I'm not sure still. Oh god, getting my butt kicked. I tend to start off fighting this thing. You do not want to get grabbed by that, he will eat your face. That's just a little uppercut to send you flying through the air, probably can kill you in one shot. That's my favorite one, he tends to leave himself pretty darn open at the end of that. And it would really help if I could actually dodge effectively. I remember in the original, I don't believe they were that fast. They tended to be... Yeah, don't get grabbed by that. In the first part of the game, in the first little port of the game that they had, they didn't tend to be that fast, that I remember anyway. I might just not be remembering that well because I didn't fight them that often. I tended to like avoid them. Yeah, I'm probably going to waste a lot of life gems on this, but I kind of think it's worth it. Because the item that you can get from this guy is really freaking good. Especially for being a swordsman. Yeah, I'm going to burn through most of my life gems on this dude. Do not think that that will not hit you, because more than likely it will. More than that little like butt slam that he does if you're behind him, yeah, it can hit you even if you're a little off to the side of him. Okay, these ghosts, these little people, these little invisible-ish kind of people, little whited out ones, they are other players playing on their own games. They'll only appear when you're on multiplayer mode, but it's still pretty cool and can be really cool to see how people either mess up when they're playing, or if they do as good as you when they're playing, or if you're doing worse than them. It can also give you a hint on how to not play the game. Anyway, now, like we said, this woman would have said to open the door and trot along, to go through this door right here and trot along to the kingdom. We're not going to get there yet, unfortunately, but I will go ahead and light this bonfire and rest at it for a minute. Bonfires are pretty cool. they will automatically restore all your health and your stamina, as well as your, when we get to it, your Estus flask. And it will also repair your equipment. As you can see, my equipment down in the in the bottom left corner of the screen have little red bars underneath of them, and the more that I use them and hit enemies and things with them, they will decrease. Yeah, resting at a bonfire will also help that. However, when you rest at a bonfire, it will also reset all enemies. And see, there's a dude in big armor. When you rest at a bonfire, it will also reset all enemies. Now, what I got from him was the stone ring. Enemies in this game have poise, which means that... There's a cool looking dude. The enemies in this game have poise, which is like oftentimes reserved mostly for like NPCs and bosses, meaning it's pretty much how many hits they can take, how many hits you can dish out before they'll be staggered and they'll stop for just a second, giving you another opening to attack. And if you haven't already guessed, having a good ability to reduce an enemy's poise, especially as a swordsman, which is me, who doesn't have a lot of strength, is key and is a must. In terms of my actual weapons, I'm dual wielding because I have the dexterity to do so. When we get to the Emerald Herald, I'll tell you more about this. When we get to another character shortly later on, spoiler name, when we get to another character shortly, I'll go ahead and in the next video, I'll explain more on the stats and expound more on that. But for the moment, just know that I have high dexterity, so I can dual wield weapons. Well, I can dual wield these two weapons specifically. You'll usually see, a lot of the time you'll see people that have like two enormous like ultra great swords on either shoulder that they're dual wielding because they have the strength and dexterity to do so. Yeah, currently I only have a Falchion, or a Scimitar +1, which is the thing in my right hand, and a Short Sword +1, which is the thing in my left. You have your light attack, which is done by, on the PlayStation, pressing R1, and the light attack for the second one is done by pressing L1. Heavy attack, pressing L2, and for the heavy attack for the left-handed weapon is pressing L2, and heavy attack for the right hand, whoops, did not mean to do that, is pressing R2. The O button allows me to roll. It also, if I hold a direction, if I hold the control stick in a direction and press and hold the O button, it will allow me to run. Clicking the L3 button, the control stick essentially, while I'm running, will allow me to jump, and that can be done to clear some gaps. There's some gaps in this game that you need to jump over, but yeah, this is going to be pretty much it. In the next episode, I plan on going through the first part of the tutorial. I can't get to the second yet, and you'll see why then. And after I go through the tutorial, we'll get to the hub area of the game, which is essentially your little campfire from Dark Souls 1. I can't remember the name of it. It's the place right after the Undead Asylum. If you haven't played the first one, of course, that won't have any meaning to you. But yeah, this has been Let's Play Dark Souls 2 with D. Mephisto.